everybody. My name is Infamous Isaac, and I'm here with a video on Fake Granddaughter Hospital Number 2, Gotterdammerung. And the reason I'm talking about this right now, even though I finished Lostbelt 1 like 6 months ago, was because I lost track of time, honestly. I lost track of time and I got lazy. So I finally finished it. I've I put aside time to actually get through it and finish it, even though I've been watching Bleach and One Piece and everything and all that. I did it, and now I'm here to talk about it, right? Because but the way I do things is when I finish an arc or a part of the game, I talk about it on YouTube, right? Not because I'm doing this for YouTube, but more or less because I just want to talk about it in general. So I don't want to overload myself with new information or more recent information if I already know what the information is. When I can just talk about it in isolation, and then overall, on like a final video or something, I can talk about it together. But that's the point. Basically, Lost Vault 2 takes place in Scandinavia, and yeah, that's all I need to say about it. It takes place in Scandinavia, but in a different timeline, or world entirely, where Scandinavia was frozen over. And it's interesting, right? Because this story, compared to Lost Vault 1, isn't as good for me, right? But at the same time, it's not horrendously bad. Because you take things like Okeanos and Rome and London and you just look at him and it's like, dang, this is a cut below everything else. Like, Orleans was the first one, but it wasn't bad compared to this. Like, these ones are so bad. That bad or boring. Okeanos and Rome for me were bad. London was boring, and Orleans was good. It was like a 6 or 7, honestly. But this one, it's a lost belt, so the writing is already better. Well, you don't have to be a lost belt to have better writing than those ones, but it just has better writing, period. So it makes it bearable. But some parts are kind of boring, I won't lie. Like, the beginning for me was super interesting because we're in this world, this foreign world with only like 40,000 people are alive, and you see barely any other people except giants and just creatures. And then you see this giant castle made of ice, and it's like, yo, they're setting up so much. The world building is fire right now. It's really just a barren wasteland. And then after we get like Brunhild, and we already have Napoleon. It kind of stagnates for a little bit. Like it just kind of sits there and it stagnates. When we go to fight Skahad for the first time, it's like it's kind of boring us. It kind of sucks. And then the third reveal happens, and it's just like, oh, it's cool, but he's kind of a pushover. Like I'm not the one to ask for hard boss fights because I mean I'm just playing through the story. I don't really care. But he was pretty easy, honestly. Not to a point where like I'm out here one phasing him or like challenge quest type thing. But for being the final one of the final bosses for this story, he was just alright. He wasn't much of a presence or a threat. He was more of a threat when he was Sigurd, when he was in his body. Like the Sigurd before we knew he was Surtur, or at least the the one who was controlling his body. When he was that in the beginning of the story, he was such a threat, like a genuine, crazy level threat that had it out for Chaldea. It was crazy. It was honestly crazy. I loved it. And you have Napoleon showing up, and he was sick. He was super sick. I love Napoleon in the story. He was great. Yeah, but yeah, Brynhild and an actual Sigurd, and they were all right. I don't really mind them much at all, but they were just so there that they didn't stand out much, honestly. You have Skaha, who was great. Sitanai, who was just there, honestly, which sucks, because I liked her, but she didn't really do much besides just serve for one plot point when they get captured. I wish she did more, honestly. I wish she did. Then you have uh, the Valkyries, which, they're Valkyries. That's basically it. It's not much to them. Except for when Brynhild shows up, so I guess that's cool, but it's short-lived, so it's whatever. Then you have Ophelia, who she uh she was alright, honestly. She was alright in the beginning of it. I didn't have anything against her. She was very serious, in the beginning. She serves Lord Custaria, all of that. She just wants to do the best by Lord Custaria, and kind of likes him too. But then later on, one of my friends brought this up to me, and it was like she kind of just flip flops between things. Like she doesn't know what she wants to do, and she's wishy washy a lot. And to be fair, that is true. She She joined Skaha as the king of the Lost Belt, but then next thing you know, Surtur shows up and she just immediately goes with him because that's quote unquote her servant. And then finally, once Napoleon uses his noble phantasm, she switches over to our side last second because she realized she let it get out of hand and now Surtur's about to destroy the Lost Belt. So it's just like she's just switching sides left and right willy nilly. Like she betrayed the cryptors and everything to help us, even though in reality she shouldn't have. But Napoleon is a good person, so I won't fault her for that, for being convinced by him. But that is looking at it like that, that is kind of crazy. Like she just betrayed them. But her final moments were pretty good. They were pretty good for her character. I liked them a lot, especially like having Mash look over her in the shadow border, and them talking. That was nice. That was really nice. And then at the very end of the Lost Boat, where Mash and Ophelia, like it flashes back to when before Fujimaru showed up, and before they were stuck in time, when Ophelia and Mash and Pepe were just hanging out, and she was invited to go eat lunch with them. That moment was really sweet. But besides that, the story, I didn't like it as much as Russia for sure. If I had to compare the two, I'll say this one is worse than Russia, but not significantly worse than Russia. It's just not as good. Like I'm not comparing Solomon to Okeanos here. I'm more or less comparing like Camelot to America, and not in like okay. I'm not saying that America and Camelot are the same quality as these two, but I'm saying that they're those two in my sense are as close to being good to each other. There's no gap between those two, and that's why I'm comparing this one to these two, because Scandinavia and Russia aren't so far apart that they're leagues apart, but Scandinavia is just it isn't it's boring. Honestly, some parts is boring, other parts is just not as good, while the other parts is great. But it's all mixed into one, and it's just it makes for a mishmash of oh this is boring or oh this is cool. One thing I did see though is that there aren't as many servants in here, or at least any interesting ones. Like the Valkyries were okay. They weren't anything crazy. Sigurd was cool when he was Surtur. Sigurd when he's not Surtur was all right. He was just normal, like normal guy who fights for good. Brynhild, she was all right. She's same as Sigurd, except she's his wife. That's it. You have Napoleon, best character. You have Skaha, good character, great character even. Holmes, awesome, even though he's not a part of this hospital. Um, Zerda was mid, probably the worst one. I like her, but she didn't really serve much of a purpose, I will admit. And yeah, honestly, there was barely any servants, so it's hard to say like that the servant roster was good. I like some of these servants, but it doesn't mean that they were good. Like I always like Napoleon, Skaha. I like Sitanai, but like besides that, everybody else is just okay. So it's not much to it. And again, the story. Uh, I feel like the high points were the beginning when they were introducing everything and everything was so foreign. And then once we learn everything, it's like, all right, this is okay. And the end of it, after Surtur, I think everything after Surtur was really good, but everything during Surtur was not good to me. I feel like when we were learning about everything in this world from like section 1 to section 5 or whatever, it was cool. And then they get arrested in prison. I thought that was pretty cool. And then when they show up again with Brynhild and everybody and Sigurd, I thought that was pretty cool. But there's not a lot of like, yo, this is fire. Because like in Russia, I can think of some. It's been a while, but I can think of some like with Billy using his assumption, Beowulf as well, Musashi. Ivan showing up, Salieri playing the piano, Patsy or Patsy, I don't remember his name, Patsy. That I don't know how to pronounce. I forgot. Like just how much he hated the main character because he got the better life. Like there was sick moments like that. It was super sick. And learning about Russia in general, it was the introductory one, but it was so awesome. I loved it. Like and then seeing Konyaskanya there as well, seeing Kirei or Rasputin, Russia was great. And I know this is Scandinavia's video, but I just had to compare some of it because that's the only thing I have to compare it to. And as the bar for right now, Scandinavia falls short, in my opinion. Had its good, but it definitely has its bad and its mid. But if I had to give it a rating, honestly, I'd say Scandinavia is a six at its worst. Well, not at its worst. At like six overall. At its worst, it's a five. It's just okay. And at its best, it's a seven, 7.57 around there. But overall, not bad, just not great. I hope you all enjoyed though. I know I rambled a little bit, but I just want to talk about how I felt because it's just like when you feel okay about something and you don't feel passionate, like I hate this or I like this. It's hard to talk about when it's something boring. Like, oh, it sounds so disrespectful to this, but I'm not saying it because I don't like it. I think this is all right. I just have to keep saying that. I think this is all right. There's good in here, but it's just some parts are really boring. Like and it's hard to talk about that when it's something that you're just not passionate about. Because if you're bored or if you're indifferent when watching something, it's going to be hard for you to talk about it because you don't feel passionate about anything. Whether it's a good or bad emotion, you don't feel passionate about something. And that's probably like the worst thing in my opinion. If I'm bored watching your thing, I think it automatically sucks. Because if it's bad, at the very least it made me feel something. But if it's boring, you even fail to make me feel something, which sucks. Like that's unfortunate. So it automatically goes down. But that's besides the point. All in all, I'm gonna be going on to Lost Belt 3, and hopefully I can finish that in a reasonable time, not 6 months. But yeah. I hope y'all enjoyed. Thank y'all for watching as always. Again, I'm still sick, so I'm sorry if I sound congested or just bad in general in this video. But yeah, as always, hope y'all stay safe. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll check y'all out. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. If you liked, please consider liking. But it's all up to you at the end of the day. I'll dang, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I'll check y'all out. Peace.